What's up, guys? Oldmantup coming at you today with Tori, and we are doing the Week 4 team builder against Crimson Seabad and the Detroit Steel Wings. Now, a lot of things are debuting this week, or a lot of variants are debuting this week. We're going to start it off with Exadrill, the Mold Breaker Exadrill, with Choice Scarf, because this thing, Earthquake, more or less 2 shots, everything on his team, except for, obviously Intimidate, Physically Defensive Crocodile, which I'm not sure he's going to bring this week. I would expect a offensive variant, but who knows. Especially a Pursuit Trapper, because of my team and its weakness to Dark. But we have this, obviously Suicune, Physically Defensive Suicune, more or less stands in the way of this sweeping, and Staraptor, because flying type doesn't get affected by Earthquake. But yeah, the reason we're bringing Mold Breaker this week is because of things like Latios and Electros, because Levitate is a thing. But yeah, so we're naming this Rye Toast. A little pun there. Rye, misspelled on purpose because of how awesome that Requiem is. Rye Toast because I don't know of those of you who have ever had rye bread, but it almost never molds over. But bread gets moldy. We have Mold Breaker on a mold Pokemon. So, pun things. So what do you think about Exadrill?
Can I see it shiny? Cool.
So crazy looking.
Yeah, you should definitely bring the shiny one.
No, I don't like the shiny one.
Oh.
But we're bringing Exadrill, and he's debuting Mold Breaker this week, so I think it really puts him work against his team. Okay, now a Pokemon that is making its debut on the team. That should have been debuted last week, but we're past that now. And that is Kyurem, Blue the Kyurem, named after Kanto Cast Blue, of course. And bring a Choice Specs Kyurem this week, because Choice Specs Kyurem does work on his team. The only thing that can switch into it, more or less, is Registeel. Almost everything else gets 2-shot on his team. Between Dragon Pulse, Ice Beam, Draco Meteor, and Earth Power, nothing stands in the way by itself of this Pokemon. So, really looking forward to using it. We did end up with a shiny variant because this is a little bit more blue than the normal one. And we're rocking the Choice Specs.
Can I see the old one?
That's what the normal one looks like.
Yeah, it's more, definitely more blue.
Say, and fun fact, Kyurem was one of my favorite cards to use during the early black-white era of the card game. So what do you think about Kyurem?
Pretty good. Cool, he has choice specs, and I have some specs on my face right now.
Yep. So you are both rocking the special attacks. Now we're bringing Shrek, the onion Pokemon, Celebi. This is a, for the lack of a better term, bulky special attacker. Giga Drain, we need Giga Drain to hit some of his threats really hard. We need Psychic to hit some of his switch-ins to Celebi really hard. And I mean, between the two, it does a number on his team outside of Registeel and Latios. But we have other things for that. Recover to keep it healthy. Stealth Rocks, we want to set up Stealth Rocks as soon as we can this week, because outside of Audino, he doesn't really have reliable recovery on his team as far as his walls go. So really want to abuse that fact and get the rocks up and get as much residual damage as we can, as quick as we can. Because I really expect this to be a week of a lot of switches, especially if he brings something that he needs and should have, in my opinion anyways, which is Cleric Audino. I mean, he rocked an offensive Audino last week and it fell flat on its face, so I expect him, and I would expect him through team building to realize that he will probably need Heal Bell this week, because my team that I have built every week has been designed to spread around status in more than one way. I mean, every week I have brought 2 status moves, if not 3. Arcanine had Toxic, we had Will-O-Wisp on Jellicent, and we had T-Wave on Thundurus last week. And the week before that we had at least T-Wave. So yeah. So that's a thing. So I really expect him to bring some kind of cleric, which I expect to be in the form of Mega Audino. Or Audino, he doesn't have Mega Audino, my apologies. But, so we've prepared for that accordingly. So what do you think about Celebi?
I wonder why it's called an onion Pokemon.
That's what I call it.
Oh.
Because it looks like an onion.
Oh.
Its head.
What type of Pokemon is it actually?
Psychic and Grass.
Okay.
So bug types do 4 times effective power to it.
Okay, and I really like the shiny one.
Yeah, it is definitely
Girly.
more girly when it is shiny.
Yeah, girly time.
So let's move on to Thunderous, the Easy Gunner here. Life Orb Attacker, Prankster, Knockoff Thunderbolt, T-Wave, and Superpower. This is our wall breaker for this week. And we ran this set. It 2-shots pretty much everything on his team. And I think it 2-shots everything on his team, maybe outside of Registeel, after Stealth Rock damage. I'm trying to remember what the calcs were exactly. I'll double check them again before we play. But this thing just puts in work on his team. So, like I said, we got Knockoff T-Bolt, Superpower, and Thunder Wave. Thunder Wave, a failsafe to stop his fast sweepers, namely Latios and Infernape. I'm really expecting if he brings Latios and an offensive variant, it could do a lot of damage to my team because I don't really have a good switch in to an offensive Draco Meteor. So we're thinking that's going to be a problem. So all the more reason we want to get residual damage in on things. So yeah, what do you think about Thunderous?
Pretty cool.
Pretty cool.
I wonder what it would look like if it was female.
There is no female.
Oh, then why is it just male?
Because there are only male ones.
Oh.
Because it's got a mustache.
I thought legendary Pokemon. Yeah, or male or female.
You mean genderless? Some of them are, but not all of them. Okay. We're going to move on to Requiem, who is our Jellicent. If you have not seen Requiem for a Dream, go watch that if you are old enough. I believe it's rated R. You're not old enough. But it is a fantastic movie that will absolutely mess with your brain.
Dun, dun, dun.
So watch it knowing that ahead of time. So what we're looking at here, we have Requiem. We're bringing the female Jellicent for the first time because shiny female Jellicent looks more ominous and Requiem-y, in my opinion. So that's what we got. Rocking the Cobra Berry this week because of that stinking crocodile. We don't want to get pursuit trapped by that crocodile. We don't want to get knocked off and KO'd by that crocodile. I think the only, I'm not even sure there is a variant, of crocodile that can one-shot our defensive Jellicent is maybe Banded, and I'm not even sure about that. I don't think that still one-shots us after Cobra Berry. We are almost completely physically defensive. We do have a little bit of speed in here because we don't want to get speed crept by, I believe we did this for Audino, expecting a Cleric, which is why we have Taunt. We got Scald, Taunt, Recover, and this Nightshade will either be Nightshade or Toxic. I haven't decided yet. Nightshade 1v1 versus most of his Pokemon works better, especially some of his bulkier walls, namely Suicune and Dusclops. Dusclops just shrugs off anything I do to him outside of that with this Jellicent. But Nightshade is guaranteed 50 damage at level 50. And for those of you who don't know, Dusclops has like a really low base hit point total. So that is actually a really significant amount of damage to it. So that's why we have that set up. Like I said, we're rocking the Cursed Body, which really helps it out 1v1 against the aforementioned Pokemon. You might say, well, if you want it to counter Suicune, you should have the Water Absorb, and you know, not a bad idea, but at the same time, Cursed Body, if I can deactivate the moves that he's using, especially if it's something closer to a Rest Talk variant, I think that's going to help us more in the long run.
What if you hit random? Brother?
That just makes it whatever.
Can you see what it is?
See, it made it random. But we want female.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're bringing our last Pokemon.
Machamp.
Yes, John Cena, the champ, is here.
John Cena.
And this is a little bit different of a Machamp set. Everyone, I'm hoping that Crimson expects this to be the dynamic punching, no guard Pokemon.
That's what I would expect.
Yeah, because that is a living terror. But we have the Assault Vest, Guts, Machamp. And this is a switch into Suicune, especially if we're expecting a Scald. We shrugged Scalds off relatively well, max HP, max attack. With the Assault Vest, I think max roll, it does just over 30% at max, and I think that's a generous estimate, especially if it is a defensive variant. But if it Scalds us, we're guaranteed to hit KO anything on his team with the setup we have. Guaranteed. Close combat just destroys things after we're burnt. And yeah, really looking forward to this. This is not as much of a answer to especially offensive Roserade, especially the Life Orb set. I think Sludge Bomb does just under half, but it helps. Not much, but it does. But we're really looking forward to getting some action out of this set. Knock off Close Combat, Ice Punch, Bullet Punch. That is a special effective move for almost his entire team, outside of a few random things here and there. But really hoping this puts in the work, because I want to showcase how well Machamp can be. So what do you think about the champ?
Should it be female? Because I think if he would expect a fighting machine, he would expect it to be female. If he saw it was female, he would probably be, oh no!
The gender doesn't make any difference.
Oh, can we see it shiny?
Yeah, it looks goofy.
Looks like Hulk.
But yeah, see,
Hulk is
there's absolutely no difference between the male and the female.
So you hit random.
Yep.
You should have it as green, like Hulk.
Oh yeah, but it's not the Hulk. It's the champ.
Yeah, Hulk Jr.
But that is the team we are bringing against Crimson Seabad and the Detroit Steel Wings. Alright guys, hopefully we will pull a victory out with this team. But I wanted to switch it up a little bit this week, hopefully to throw off Crimson Seabad's game plan, not having T-Tar and running Sandrush Excadrill for the first time in 3 weeks. So alright guys, that's been Oldmantup and Tori, and we'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.
Took peeps.